what I'm saying? Yeah. The fanatic. Where we keep it 100, keep it real. That's the only way we know how to be. Talking that sports talk. You know what I'm saying? Straight out of South Carolina. Upstate, A64. Yeah. The FANATTIC. The fanatic where we keep it OG. We talking sports, so I call what I
Welcome into the Fanatic Sports Channel for sports fans by sports fans. It's your boy, Coach Jai.
I'm the stat guy.
Hey, we're here for another college football win totals. This time we're doing the Big 12. They don't have divisions, so they have 10 teams. We just broke it up into part 1 and part 2. Part 1 will consist of both the Oklahoma schools, both the Kansas schools, and Iowa State. Part 2, which will be in a separate video, will be all of the Texas schools and West Virginia. But for part 1, we're going to get into this thing. And as we said in all our videos, we are not betting analysts or Vegas insiders. This is for entertainment purposes only. Don't go bet in the house because you can't sleep on my couch. What's going on, Stat Guy?
Hey, man. Another good night. You know, Big 12. Hey, Big 12 be crazy sometimes. So definitely interested to see what Vegas thinks is going to happen this year.
That's right. So let's go ahead and jump into this. And if you're liking the content, man, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It is free to do. If you say, I don't have a YouTube account. If you have a Gmail, you have a YouTube account. Google owns YouTube, if you didn't know that. So it's easy to subscribe. We appreciate all the support. Let's go ahead and jump right into this thing with the team that finished last in the Big 12 and pretty much last most years in the Big 12. The Kansas Jayhawks. The Kansas Jayhawks were 2021 were 2-10, Jeff. One of those wins came against the Texas Longhorns.
In Austin.
And they got to go to to Lawrence this year. So let's jump right into it, man. What is Vegas saying they're going to win 2 games again?
2.5.
2.5. Okay. Let's see if we can go through the schedule and see if we can find a way that Kansas can win 3 games this year. All right, Vegas got them at 2.5. First game at home versus Tennessee Tech. That's a dub.
Put it on the board.
Put it on the board. At West Virginia, that's a loss.
Them country roads, baby. Tough loss.
At Houston, that's a loss.
Loss.
Versus Duke at home. I'm going to give them a half here.
I'm going to give them a half as well. But these 2 teams seem to play each other a good little bit too. And we'll see. I'm going to give them a half. We'll see what happens.
Hey, this ain't basketball, man. All right. Iowa State at the house. That's a loss.
Loss.
TCU at the house. That's a loss. At Oklahoma, even though this is Brent Venables' first year, I think they're still going to be a loss.
Loss.
So right now we're about halfway through the season, and I got them at 1.5.
Likewise.
All right. At the reigning Big 12 champions, Baylor Bears, I think that's a loss.
Loss.
They get a bye week, and then they take on the runner-up to the Big 12, Oklahoma State.
Brutal. Loss.
Another loss. Then they travel to the part of Texas nobody wants to go to, and that's Lubbock, Texas. They take on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. I got them at another loss.
Loss.
And then, second to last game of the season, they take on the Texas Longhorns in Lawrence, Kansas. What say you, Jeff?
And for those of you that don't know, this is a dub all day long. Beating Texas 2 years in a row for the first time since the first 2 games this series started getting played back in 1908.
I'm going to go with you. I'm going to say this is going to be the first time in I don't know how long that Kansas actually gets back-to-back wins versus a Big 12 opponent. So I'm going with Kansas in this. I'm going to give them this win. That puts them at 2.5, and then they travel for the last game to Kansas State. Kansas State finished 7-5 last year. I think they're going to improve a little bit, so I think they're going to take a L here. I got them at 2.5 like Vegas.
For the first time since 2009. Kansas is winning 2 games in the Big 12.
What?
Put the dub.
Put the dub on them. You got them at 3.5. I got them at 2.5. How about that? I mean, you got them at 3, and I got them at 2.5. How about that?
3.5.
You got them at 3.5. 3.5.
Tennessee Tech, Kansas State,
Texas, and a half against Duke. You're right, man. Hey, on to the next one. That is crazy, man. On to the next one. Let's go to their in-state rival, the Kansas State Jayhawks. Kansas State Wildcats. Don't jump on me, Wildcat fans. Alrighty. Last year they finished 7-5. Surprisingly, they were better than I thought they were. I don't know why I thought they finished 6-6 or 5-7, but they finished 7-5. They started the year out with 3 straight games at Bill Snyder Family Stadium in Manhattan, Kansas, against South Dakota, Missouri, and Tulane. I got them at 2.5 in those games, Missouri being the half. What does Vegas say? I'm sorry, Jeff.
Vegas has Kansas State at 6.5.
Get some of that. I got them at 2.5 through 3 games so far. South Dakota Coyotes, Missouri, and Tulane all at home.
I have them at 2 after those 3 games, with halves against Mizzou and a half against South Dakota.
Against South Dakota? All right. And stranger things have happened. Then they travel to Norman to take on Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma will have a little bit too much for Kansas State, and I'm going to give them a L there.
Loss.
All right. And then they got Texas Tech at home. I'm going to give them a half there.
I'll give them another half.
At Iowa State, I'm going to give them a half there.
Give them a win at Iowa State.
Ooh, at Iowa State in Ames. Correct me, Iowa State fans, how do you say that? You give them a straight up win there, huh?
And
all right, then if they get that win, they go into a bye week, and then they take on the other purple in the Big 12, and that's at TCU. I'm going to give them a win at TCU.
I'm going to give them a win at TCU as well.
Then they take on the Big 12 runner-up at Oklahoma State at home. I think Oklahoma State got too much. That's an L.
Loss.
Then they take on Sarkisian and possibly Quinn Ewers. Maybe, what's his name? Hudson Card was the guy last year. I'm assuming they're going to have a quarterback battle. It's at Manhattan. I'm going to give them a half.
I'll give them a half as well.
Then they go to Baylor in Waco. That's an L.
Loss.
At West Virginia, I'm going to give them a half. I think JT might help them out a little bit there.
Give them a half there as well.
And then the last game is the in-state rival, Kansas. I'm actually going to give them a win here. You gave them a loss here, I think. Okay.
I got them at 5.5, but I'm again 7.5, very doable for them. Vegas got them at 6.5. I can definitely see them being 7.5.
I got them. I got them at 3.5, 4.5, 5. I got them at 5.5. So Vegas got a little bit more confidence in them than I do. I'm pretty sure Kansas State fans, get in the comments. Let us know what you think there, what they're going to do. On to Iowa State. The Iowa State Cyclones finished 2021 at 7-5. Jeff, what does Vegas have them at?
6.5.
6.5 too. Okay, here we go. We got a whole bunch of teams might be muddled up in the Big 12, just like the SEC West, man. All right, 6.5. Southeast Missouri. That's a win.
Win. Iowa State at Iowa.
Yep.
You're giving them a win at Iowa.
No. I gave them a half.
Oh, a half. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll give them a half there.
All right. Ohio at home. Not Ohio State, but Ohio. I'm giving them a win there.
Win.
Baylor at home. I'm giving them an L there.
Loss.
All right. At Kansas. I'm gonna give them a win there.
And the win there.
Kansas State at the house. I think I gave them a half for Kansas State, and the same here, of course.
I gave them the loss there.
Ooh, yeah, that is right. You did say that Kansas State's going to go into Iowa State and beat them. At Texas, that's a half.
Half.
Coming off of a bye week, they play Oklahoma at home, who they've been known to beat sometimes, and it is Brent Venables' first year, but they normally, when they do pull off the upset, it's normally in Norman to be shocking, but I'm going to give them a half here.
I like them for the half here.
All right. Then they play West Virginia at home. I got them at a dub here.
I like them for a half.
All right. Then they go to Oklahoma State. I think Oklahoma State's going to have too much for them. I think this is an L.
False.
Texas Tech at home. I got them at a half.
Half.
And then at TCU, I got them at a half.
Half.
All right, so Vegas said they were 6.5. I got them at 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5, 5, 5.5, 6, 6.5. I'll match with Vegas. What say you?
I also have them at 6.5. But again, this is, man, with the amount of coin flips in their schedule, this again, like we saw in some of the SEC teams, their window is 4-8 to 8-4. I said they could hit the 6.5, 7 win mark, but just as easy as they could do that, they can mess around and be 4-8.
Yeah, I think their floor is 5-7. Their ceiling is 8-4. I think that's where that 7.5. I mean that 6.5 comes from. So, all right, on to Brent Venables and the Oklahoma Sooners. The Oklahoma, they did lose their quarterback. He transferred portal, followed his coach Lincoln Riley over there to USC Trojans. So, what does Vegas say they're going this year, Jeff?
So Vegas, definitely drinking the Brent Venables Kool-Aid. Vegas projecting Oklahoma to win the Big 12, I guess, based off of the win-loss, because they have them at 9.5. Highest over-under in the Big 12.
How about that? Let's go. You said 9.5? God, let's see what we got here. That is the shocker right there. I ain't gonna lie to you. It's not a shocker that it's 9.5, but it's a shocker that they're the highest in the Big 12. Hey, much respect to Brent Venables. I mean, he's been in Dunston and Norman for a long time under Stoops. But let's just go through it and see. All right, UTEP, win. Kent State, win. At Nebraska, I got that. I got a half there. I think Nebraska's going to be better this year. So I got that as a half.
I got that as a loss.
Ooh, loss to the Cornhuskers. Scott Frost saving the job.
Yes, sir.
All right, then they got Kansas State in Norman. I got that as a win.
Got that as a win.
At TCU, I got that as a win.
Half.
All right, the Horned Frogs may pull off the upset in Fort Worth is what you're saying, huh?
Something like that.
All right, now the Red River rivalry, or Red River shootout, whatever you want to call it, versus Texas. I got this as a win.
Half.
Ooh.
Texas had them dead to rights last year with Spencer and Caleb Williams, and it took Texas forgetting how to tackle for Oklahoma to pull that thing out in the second half.
That is right. You are right about that, Jeff. I'm going to stick with a win here. I'm going to think Brent Venables is going to start that rivalry off right. Then they move on to Kansas. We got a dub there.
Win.
Then they get an off week and they travel to Ames, Iowa, where I said this is a half because Iowa State has been known to beat them, even though, like I say, they do it in Norman most of the time.
And I had this as a half.
All right. Versus Baylor, I don't know if they're going to have enough in the tank, but I'm going to give them a half here.
Where you said versus Baylor?
Yep, in Norman.
Half.
All right. At West Virginia, they got to go to West Virginia. That might be a problem if JT can stay healthy.
Give me a half down on the country roads.
Yeah, I'm gonna give him a half here as well. Oklahoma State in Norman. I'm gonna give them a half because I think Oklahoma State may be the better team, but it's in Norman and Oklahoma. Yeah, I think they kind of own that series.
Hey, Bedlam, baby. Lost.
And the last game at Texas Tech, I got them as an outright win.
At Texas Tech?
Uh-huh.
Half.
All right. So
I have them at 7.
I got them at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7.5, 8, 8.5, 9, 9.5, just like Vegas. Brent Venables' first year, he goes 9.5, even though they was 10-2 last. They go 9-3. That's a win considering he lost the top receiver and quarterback before they got there really. So
but not only that, what he lost in the recruiting class as well for players coming in, because that's another side of the coin.
That's right. So like I said, I think Brent Venables overall, I think is a great recruiter. I'm interested to see. It's always hard in those first couple of years for those defensive guys to kind of let loose and let the offensive guys be good. But Brent Venables did come from Oklahoma where they already did that. So and Clemson as well. So he's kind of used to it. So we'll see how everybody meshes under that system.
I will say this: their offensive coordinator that they hired from Ole Miss, that was a dang good hire.
I think he's good. I think it helps them, but I don't think it, necessarily hurts Ole Miss all that much because Lane Kiffin does have that prowess.
Right, but hiring somebody that is used to running an offense similar to what he saw while coaching defense at Clemson, I think is going to be very helpful because he already knows how to coach the defense up with an offense that's going to try to do the things that they're going to try to put into place.
True that. On to the last team in part 1. The runner-up in the Big 12 is Oklahoma State Cowboys. They went 11-1 in 2021. Since Oklahoma has the highest win total of the Big 12, what do they got Oklahoma State doing?
Oklahoma State is tied second with another team at 8.5.
Oh gosh. Okay. All right, 8.5. I think. Listen, man, I like Mike Gundy, man. It's just like you and I kind of talked, maybe even on another video we had, but definitely off camera that Mike Gundy's kind of. It's kind of similar to Mark Richt, man, at Georgia. That dude's good for 10 wins, 9-10 wins. That's what I'm saying. I guess that's why 8.5 for Vegas say, hey, Gundy's good for 9 wins, but he just can't get over the hump.
So I love the quarterback they have coming back, Sanders. I think he's a stud. That offense is fun to watch. We'll see. What's the schedule say?
All right. Schedule says Central Michigan win. All right. Arizona State, I got a dub.
Win.
UAPB. Oh, okay. University of Arkansas Pine Bluff. That's a win.
That is a win.
Then they get an off week, and the game that you and I are looking forward to, the Baylor Bears. And they play them at Baylor.
Win.
Oh, you give them an outright win? I'm going to give them a half there. Since Baylor I think both of the teams returned, a pretty decent amount. I think they know each other. I think it's going to be a good game. They're going to be looking for that get back. If it was at Oklahoma State, I might give them a little bit of might give them a win, but I got them a half. So after that, they go to Boone. They play back at home versus Texas Tech. I got them as a win.
Win.
At TCU, I got them as a win.
I think this is their catch 'em game. I got them at a half.
Ooh, good call. Good call. We'll have to keep our eye on that to see if the Horned Frogs can take them. It is in Fort Worth, so that is to be noted. Texas at Stillwater.
I don't trust Texas defense. I think Oklahoma defense is better. I trust Texas to be able to run the ball and move the ball. Even with us not knowing what Quinn Ewers can do in an offense, we know Robinson can tote that thing.
We know it. Yeah. I'm with you on that. That's what I was gonna say. Like, we know Robinson can tote it. We just don't know what to expect from Quinn Ewers if he even beats out Hudson Card, which we are assuming. I'm gonna give him a half.
You're crazy. Win.
At Kansas State, I got him as a win.
Win.
At Kansas, win.
Or Jayhawks, win.
Back at home, November the 12th versus Iowa State Cyclones. What you got?
Win.
I got them as a win as well. And then they got to go to Oklahoma for Bedlam. This is what we was talking about with Oklahoma. I gave them a half because I think they got just as much talent as Oklahoma, and they may be able to catch Brent Venables here in this opening game of the series for him.
I got him having the full win because Okie State is my Big 12 champions. I got them sitting at 11.5. And if they can actually get through the Big 12 championship game this year, I do have them as the 4th seed in my college football playoff.
Mike Gundy getting over the hump, sort of say. West Virginia, we know you got it as a dub. I got that as a dub as well. Vegas said 8.5. I said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I got them at 10.5, and you got them at 11.5. I think Oklahoma State, barring injury, will go back to the Big 12 championship, see if they can get over the hump and get into the playoffs. I'm not going to necessarily give away my pick. I'm not going to say they are or aren't in my Final Four, but they got a good chance to be with that offense. So that'll do it for the Big 12 Part 1. Part 2 video will be Texas, Texas Tech, TCU, Baylor, and West Virginia. What else you got for me, Stat Guy?
Hey, man. Big 12 is going to be a lot of fun this year. A lot of fun. You got some programs that are trying to return with Texas and Oklahoma. You have some programs that are trying to stay on top of the mountain with Oklahoma State and with Baylor. And then you have programs that are just some fun. I mean, TCU catches somebody. Obviously, we fell in love with Kansas going for 2 last year to beat Texas. That game is definitely circled in all kinds of markers and highlighters on my calendar. So should be fun times in the Big 12 this year.
That's right, man. Let's see if Baylor and Oklahoma State can make it for a rematch, or if Brent Venables or Texas comes to spoil the party. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Get in the comments. Let us know if you disagree with any of those win totals. Again, this is for entertainment purposes only. We are not Vegas insiders. We are not gambling experts. So don't go bet in the house based on what we say, because I don't have any room at my house for you. For Jeff the Stat Guy, this is Coach High. Go Dogs.
Come rock with me. We got it jumping like it's that valley. I call my dogs out the pound. Let's go eat. Turn on the fan at it. Let's have a debate. Who really hold down the Southeast from state to state? What team hungry gonna eat everything up off they plate?